Will grid soil sampling work for my livestock farm? This is a section with the swine case study. Let's take a look at this field we have for this hog farm. It's a 276 acre field, and we have a corn soybean rotation. Right over here in the right center part of the field is actually the location of the livestock facility itself. Up here we have a wood. It's not a sensitive area. This field, of course, is quite hilly, and we have a draw going through here. Here's the result of our composite soil sample from this field. We have a 27 part per million Bray and a 225 parts per million potassium. Based upon normal recommendations, we really don't need either one of these nutrients into this field. Here's another slide to illustrate the same thing. That we're looking at the whole field as being a 27 parts per million Bray. Now let's take a look at how we grid this field out. Each one of these red dots is the center of each one of the cells within a larger grid mapping of this field. This is what we have available. 1 million gallons of swine finish liquid. This is our analysis of the nitrogen components and phosphorus and potassium. Now here's our results of our grid soil sampling. Notice in our area around the livestock facility we got some pretty high levels of phosphorus, also some high levels of potassium too. This is pretty typical of all around the state as we see grid soil results of any place with existing or prior livestock facilities. However, in the area outside of that we have some phosphorus needs out here. Potassium needs aren't so high because this is a corn soybean rotation without real high needs for potassium. But again, we have some phosphorus needs here. So we're going to call this area out here where we need some phosphorus our zonal area. Now, let's take a look at the results of the soil test from that zonal area. We still are looking at the second year of the corn rotation within the entire rotation. So we have our general recommendations of 160 parts per million nitrogen. But with the 15 part per million Bray test that we have in this area, we need 45 pounds per acre of phosphorus. But of course, with the potassium being over 180 parts per million, we don't need any potassium. Let's look at our 4 scenario options for this field. First, if we look at the whole field based upon our composite soil test, we could apply manure to the whole field based upon nitrogen needs or based on our phosphorus needs of the whole field. Now remember that the composite phosphorus test for this field was a 27, so we really don't need any phosphorus, so this second scenario is not really an option for us. But if we look at the whole field based on our grid soil sample, we eliminate, of course, this section over here that's high on phosphorus. We take our zonal area and we can either apply our manure to this whole area based upon nitrogen needs or on phosphorus needs in this area. Here's a table illustrating what's going on with these 3 different scenarios. This first scenario here, of course, is we put the manure on the whole field based upon the nitrogen needs. When we did that, the 3,000 gallons per acre takes care of the nitrogen needs. We have about 172,000 gallons of manure left over. Now when we went to the zonal area, of course, then we didn't apply as many acres, 209 of the 276 acres, with the same 3,000 gallons per acre rate to give us our nitrogen needs. That gives us about a third of the manure left over. When we take that same area and we put it on phosphorus needs, then we only need about 2,000 gallons an acre to get our phosphorus needs and really have over half of our manure left over. So is this good or bad? I guess that really depends on your situation. If you have a number of acres left over, we have some other acres opportunity to put this manure in some other acres. If you're really tight for acres, that can be a challenge. But we do have the opportunity to either put the manure in other acres or to sell it. Now let's take a look at the economics of these 3 scenarios. This first scenario is the same with the applying manure to the whole field based upon nitrogen needs. And we do get a pretty good return off of doing that. The second 2 scenarios are looking at the zonal areas, one on a nitrogen need, based on nitrogen need, or on the phosphorus need. Remember now, this is for the value of the manure applied, and we had about a third of the manure left in this case, so we had more manure to go elsewhere. But we do have a pretty good return here with the one-time cost of the grid sampling of about $2,800 taken out. When we look at the phosphorus side of things, this number is lower, but remember we have over half of the manure left over. So if we can put this on another field, we should have a total return of around $30,000. This does not account for the additional yields resulting from getting phosphorus into the proper places where phosphorus is needed. And as we mentioned before, the extra manure is available for another field or to sell to a neighbor. This is the conclusion of the swine case study for grid soil sampling work for my livestock farm.